Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool have just beaten Bayern Munich by 3-0. Just let that sink in for a moment. Just enjoy the moment for a little bit. Enjoy the fact that 3-0? 3-0? I mean, just wow. Okay, first things first, I am going to talk about the defence because I know everyone wants to talk about the goals. I know everyone wants to talk about how amazing our attack was, but I think a little bit of credit first needs to go to those defensive players because before this game, in the post-match video for the game against Hertha Berlin, I said that this was going to be Liverpool's first big test of pre-season because defence was the main problem last season, and coming into this pre-season, it was the thing that we all wanted to see fixed before we went into the Premier League campaign. And Bayern Munich were going to be the first team that Liverpool were probably going to have to sit back against. They were going to have to go back to the wall, and they were going to have to show just how much work they put in on the training ground with regards to defence. And all things considered, they basically passed the test with flying colours. I mean, things got off to a slightly nervy start. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold particularly looked a little bit unsettled. A lot of the time he was putting in a lot of slightly dirty fouls. He was kicking bits out of people, shoving players over, and I think he's just getting used to that defensive role in terms of playing right back because, as Klopp has said before, he's great going forward, but he still needs to add little things to his games with regards to the defensive side of playing fullback. And it's going to take a little bit of time, and that showed with the way that he was slightly clumsy. He hasn't quite got that sort of clever, intelligent way of bringing players down and avoiding getting booked or picked out on by the referee. But that's something that's going to come to his game, and he did actually eventually settle into the match as well. Special mention, of course, goes to Alberto Moreno, who absolutely wowed us today with how competent he was in that game. I don't really buy the idea of him being put in the shop window. I don't think Klopp would play someone in that kind of game for 90 minutes if he planned to sell him. I think you want to have players on the pitch who you expect to be playing this season. Obviously, most people expected Andrew Robertson. I think either it is because he wants to just test Alberto Moreno and throw him in right at the deep end and just give him that one last chance to prove whether or not he's good enough to play for Liverpool and to defend for Liverpool. And he did kind of pass that test with flying colours. Or maybe it's because he just doesn't want to throw Robertson in at the deep end in that regard and just give him a little bit of rest and not overwhelm him when he hasn't necessarily had as much of a pre-season compared to the other players at Liverpool and compared to Alberto Moreno. But all things considered, Alberto Moreno played very well. You know, he defended well, he got forward well, he impressed, and maybe, just maybe, he does have a future at the club. I think we have to wait and see on that one, but perhaps just a tiny little chance that he could have a future at Liverpool Football Club. I mean, you have to mention that Bayern Munich were not very good in that game. I mean, they were so far off the pace from the start. They looked sluggish. They didn't look creative at all. They looked like they'd forgotten how to create chances and everything. They didn't get forward quickly. They lost the ball. And it was a bit weird, to be honest, and slightly disappointing because I said that I wanted this to be a big test for Liverpool. I wanted to see how we got on defensively, and Bayern didn't really push us. I mean, at the start of the game, we went very much backs to the wall. We had players packing the box. You had Salah and Mane basically playing as fullbacks. It was all a bit Mourinho for my liking, but it made sense given we were playing Bayern Munich. And it very quickly became apparent that Bayern just did not have what it took to test Liverpool. And that's weird because they battered Chelsea recently. They have been a little bit up and down. I think they got battered by both of the Milan clubs so far this pre-season. So who knows what's going on with Bayern Munich. But slightly disappointing we didn't get the massive test that we were expecting that game. But at the end of the day, who cares? Because we also got very much entertained in that game, and I am now going to talk about those goals because all three of them were absolutely incredible. Starting off, Sadio Mane. I said in the post-match video for the game against Hertha Berlin that he had all the right ideas, he was trying to get the right stuff done, but he just wasn't quite there and his touch wasn't quite there. Mane's back, I think it's safe to say. I mean, he just races away from that Bayern Munich defence just 6 minutes into the game. And to be fair to him, that angle was quite narrow. It wasn't the easiest chance in the world to finish, but he belts it into the top corner, goes off the goalkeeper ever so slightly, tiny bit of luck there, but take nothing away from him. A fantastic finish. So Mane was great in that game. I think he got forward a lot more than he did against Hertha Berlin. He looked sharper than he did against Hertha Berlin, and he was involved in the second goal as well in a way that arguably was even more impressive than the first, because he just holds things up, he keeps the ball. You can tell how good he is because none of the Bayern Munich players were willing to go anywhere near him because they didn't want to get themselves embarrassed and get left on their bums with Sadio Mane spinning around them. Moreno makes that run, and just in time Mane sees it and he improvises as well. So brilliantly on the spot, he just flicks the ball behind him, back heels to Moreno, gets enough power on the ball so that Moreno can stay running, get that cross in. Well, maybe cross, maybe shot, who knows, who cares? It lands on Mohamed Salah's head. Salah heads it in, and you cannot call that luck, because anyone who thinks that that's just luck that Mohamed Salah turned up in that position, go and watch all the goals that he scored for Roma last season, because he was in that position. He was Johnny on the spot so many times. I said in the last video, Mohamed Salah is a finisher. He knows how to finish. He basically plays like a striker when he's in the box, and he showed that. He knows how to get in those positions. He knows how to be just in the perfect place on the pitch to just nod things home, and he showed that just then with that second goal. The Grujic goal / not goal, I mean, it wasn't a goal, let's be honest. Some people were saying that they're still going to count it, but Lallana was offside, and even if he doesn't foul the goalkeeper for it, which I don't think he does, he is still slightly interfering with play because he kind of blocks the goalkeeper's movements, and so fair play, it was offside. But take nothing away from Ryan Kent. Fantastic work from him to just run all past that Bayern Munich fullback like it was absolutely nothing. I think the fullback just thought, this is a kid, this isn't Mane, this isn't Salah, we don't need to worry about him. Ryan Kent gets those afterburners on, gets round him, and I said on Twitter, you know, he could actually be a fairly good option for Liverpool this season. We talked about how if Mane and Salah get injured, Liverpool could be in trouble. They don't have a backup winger. They need Oxlade-Chamberlain in to bring a little more pace out on the flanks if those players do get injured. Maybe they don't, because Kent, I wasn't a big fan of him going into pre-season. I said in a couple of videos that I think going out on loan was probably the best thing for him because I didn't think he'd get that much game time. He's proved me wrong. He's been very good, and that was just one sign of what Ryan Kent's able to do, because he's got a lot of confidence when he plays. He doesn't play like a kid. He plays like a proper winger who knows how to get past people. He believes in himself and he plays like that. And it was just brilliant to see him doing that. And Marco Grujic as well. Great shot. Lovely to see him playing well in pre-season, as he always seems to. And it's just a tiny little shame that the goal was ruled out. But still, take nothing away from the players involved in that move. They all did very well. Finally, the Sturridge goal. Fantastic, first of all. I mean, it looked like 2013 to 14 Sturridge, the way he just chips the goalkeeper like it's absolutely nothing. We haven't seen Sturridge play like that for a very long time, and you can see why Jurgen Klopp says this is the best condition Sturridge has been in since I arrived at the club. And then he gets injured. I mean, as I said on Twitter, and as many other people said, it's basically his career in fast forward in 5 seconds. But it doesn't necessarily look like the worst injury in the world. I mean, he did get subbed off, but I think that was mainly precautionary. If you see Sturridge sort of holding his thigh and grimacing, and it's a pre-season friendly, you get him off the pitch as quick as you can. And he was walking, he wasn't limping, so hopefully that's fine. But I think we'll have to just sit tight, cross our fingers and wait and see on that one. So all in all, it was a very mature performance from Liverpool. I mean, none of the players looked like they were phased. From the first teamers, the experienced players, all the way down to the youth players like Alexander-Arnold and Ben Woodburn when he came on, and Ryan Kent when he came on. The players just looked absolutely comfortable, and they played with a lot of freedom. They looked like they were enjoying themselves. It was basically like the game against Barcelona at Wembley last season. And if that's anything to go by, and today's game is anything to go by, then Liverpool could get off to a flyer when the Premier League season starts in just a week and a half's time. Before that, of course, we have the game against Atletico Madrid tomorrow night in the final of the Audi Cup. So Liverpool could have a double going before they even kick off in the Premier League. Sort of. I mean, if Mourinho's calling the Community Shield part of a treble, then we can call this a double, can't we? But I'm quite excited to see us play Atletico Madrid, because if you ask me the one team I don't want us to get in the Champions League, then it's Atletico, because they are brilliant at defending. They're such a well-organised team, and they're great at sitting back. And if there's one thing that we all know Liverpool cannot defend against, it is teams who sit back, pack the box, park the bus, and just don't let us get through. So it's a huge, huge test for Liverpool tomorrow, potentially bigger than playing against Bayern Munich, and here's hoping they can pass that one as well with flying colours. We'll just have to wait and see. So that's all for today's video. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy it, why not give it a like? If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button as well, and check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel in the past few days and weeks. Apart from that, don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. I'll be tweeting all the way through the match against Atletico like I did today with the game against Bayern, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye for now.